Alright, here we have Total War Warhammer 3, and I'm going to be testing out on my GTX 1066 gigabyte. And it defaulted to the medium settings. You can see all the graphic settings here. And I haven't really had a time to try this out yet, so what I'm going to look for here is usually you can load up some kind of large-scale battle when, outside of the actual campaigns. So that's what I'm going to be looking at here as sort of my benchmark for what the game might look like, because I have a feeling if I just started up the campaign mode, we'd probably start out with some kind of small-scale tutorial. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but this also gives me a consistent place where I could benchmark some of my other GPUs if I have time. Speaking of having time, sorry I'm not editing this video. Sometimes I have time to edit out load screens and such, and maybe do side-by-sides. Sometimes I don't. Alright, I think we're going to get a little intro cinematic, so I'm curious what this looks like here. Looks like we're seeing an 40 FPS lock. Strange to me that it's so stable at 40, and the GPU usage is not at 100%. Could this be a CPU limit, or do they have a frame limit enabled on the cutscene? This is strange. I mean, now 40 FPS on a cutscene is perfectly fine. It's a cutscene. But again, if you keep an eye on the GPU usage, it is not maxing out the GPU. The GPU memory is up around 5 gigabytes, though, even at these medium settings. So that's interesting. Okay, we are now actually in the battle, and I'm going to be honest, I have zero idea how to play this game. I don't understand why it's locked to 40 FPS. That does not seem correct. And again, look at the GPU usage here. We are, high, but not at 100%. So let's open this up. I didn't see VSync checked, so I don't have VSync checked, so I'm not quite sure why that's happening. I don't see any kind of frame rate limiter in the graphics settings here, unless I'm blind, pointed out in the comment sections. So yeah, there appears to be some kind of strange frame rate limiting thing happening. I can try alt-tabbing maybe in and out of the game, see if that unlocked it. Actually, that does appear to have unlocked it. So I alt-tabbed out of the game, and we're now up to 45, 46. It seems to have unlocked it, so I'm not sure what was going on there, but maybe if you're experiencing a similar issue, try alt-tabbing in and out of the game. As I pan around the view, right, we got a lot of units on screen and everything. Can look around. This feels perfectly playable, but again, it is only 40 FPS. Look, it kind of locked at that 40 again. We're still not getting the full GPU usage. Check that out. That's strange. Here, I'm going to alt-tab again. And that time it didn't unlock. Okay, guys, I'm going to be honest. I don't know quite what's going on with that. Just so you're aware, this is the Game Pass version of the game, just in case there's more issues on the Game Pass version. I have seen that happen before on other games. Let's go ahead and switch this over to the low preset and see if maybe that actually does, does something. It does look like the game's actually kind of restarting the engine when we apply the graphics setting change. Some games, make you actually quit out of the game to do that. Some games will just apply it like this. Some games do it a little bit easier on the fly. Okay, it looks like at low settings we are hitting 60 FPS. Now, I'm going to be frank, guys, I don't have time to do like a full-on optimization video. This is more of just a benchmark video. Some days I can do more of an actual optimization. This game has a lot of settings, and I have to leave for work in a few minutes. I'm just trying to get this one in before I leave for work. So, kind of zooming out, seeing a lot of the battle. I'm trying to see if getting a different view of things really changes things much. It seems like we're pretty stable around 60 FPS. At the low settings, so that should at least be good to see. I should also mention that my CPU is way beyond what most people would have for a, by the way, I'm going to the high settings here. So as we switch, so the high setting, so it might not be actually applying all the changes here, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have time to edit in a full restart. Hopefully this kind of restart does most of what we need it to do, so apologies here. Some settings might not fully take effect. Anyway, as I was saying, my CPU is a Ryzen 9 5950X on a much higher-end gaming system than what you would usually see on a GTX 1060. Although I know some people do have a high-end CPU and memory and all that because they're just stuck on upgrading their GPU in the current market. So it's looking like we're hitting 30 FPS. I was trying to Alt-Tab in and out again to see if that could fix it. Now the GPU usage is high. We are up in the 90-something% range. So, I mean, it's not completely maxed though. So, hey, maybe not all the effects changed when we switched over to high, but definitely enough of them changed that the demand certainly went up quite a bit, and we're here at 30 FPS at high settings. Remember, we were around 40 FPS at the medium settings. And I'm going to go ahead and swap on over to Ultra. It wouldn't surprise me if it gives me that warning again that we, hey, it actually didn't this time. But again, just the caveat that sometimes certain things, sometimes it's like the textures or something like that, does need a full restart in order to actually apply. Given the amount of frame rate dip we saw, though, I have a feeling that most of the high settings did apply. Wow, and now at ultra settings we are below 30 FPS. Now, one issue could be the VRAM, possibly. I know this is 6 GB and this isn't at 6 GB, but in some games, the it'll like start to shift it over to actual system RAM once you get close to your limit. Sometimes it's around 5.5, somewhere around there. So that could be happening here. Notice we're at 8 GB of RAM. I'm curious if I switch back. If I switch back to like medium, if we'll see that the RAM usage might go down along with that. I didn't pay much attention to what the RAM was, so I'd like to test that. Let's go ahead and drop down to medium. And I'm just curious if that could at least partially explain what's going on here with those settings. Oh, although I'm not liking this. It looks almost like the game's going to crash. If the game crashes... Okay, no, it didn't crash. Alright. No, looks like system RAM is still around that 8 GB. So it does not look like that was... I mean, it could still be VRAM related. Maybe it just wasn't shifting it over to system RAM, I guess. I'm not enough of an expert to be sure. Even at medium, we're still around 5 GB of usage. And again, at medium, we're here at 40. And it's weird how it locks, and we're not fully maxing out the GPU. I don't know, guys. Something strange seems to be going on here to me. Something feels a little bit weird with this. Almost like there's some kind of frame rate limit happening. But I can't sort it out in the amount of time I have here right before work. If I have a chance to test this out on some other GPUs, maybe investigate a bit further, or maybe you guys could talk in the comment section. The good news I would say is it looks like you could definitely play the game around 40 FPS on medium, and then at low settings we were around 60. So it all depends on, you know, what kind of frame rate you're looking at. In more of a slow-paced title like this, personally I'd be kind of okay at 40 if you felt like it looked good. Notice when we zoom in here, you do get some like looks at the actual grass loading in on the field. You can get a nice look at the character models. GPU usage is getting around 90% here. So yeah, I think medium might make sense as long as you don't feel like you really need that 60 FPS experience going all the way down to low. But again, I'm sure there's some optimization tweaks that you could do. It also has a resolution slider. So that's going to be another thing. Sometimes pulling the resolution scale down just a little bit over here, like maybe, you know, pulling it down to, you know, 85% resolution scale. You know, you'll lose like a tiny bit of sharpness on the images, but now here, look at that. Again, we're locked at 40, although the GPU usage went down. There is something strange going on. Alt-tabbing out got me past 40 for just a split second. Okay guys, sorry I don't have time to solve this problem, but there is some kind of strange frame rate limit or VSync happening, despite the fact that, guys, VSync is disabled. I don't know what to tell you. I gotta get to work. Hopefully this was somewhat useful for you, and have an excellent day.